Welcome to the Mentor Moments podcast, where we hear from women business owners and learn about their path, their businesses, and the best advice they've received along their journeys. I am Lori Wesby. I'm the Mentor Program Coordinator at the Great Lakes Women's Business Council, as well as the Business Growth Program co-facilitator. But this podcast centers on the former, the Mentor program. Mentor is a dynamic program for women business owners to advance and develop their businesses through corporate executive and peer mentoring. And through the Mentor program, women will have an opportunity to increase their business acumen in a variety of areas while also enhancing leadership, networking, and communication skills. February is Black History Month, and as we're bringing it to a close, I am excited to highlight a phenomenal Black woman in business. First, I want to share a few statistics before I introduce our guest, but Black women accounted for 42% of all women who opened businesses between 2014 and 2019 and represented 36% of all Black employers. And it's important to note that sometimes high rates of the Black female entrepreneurship often reflect a lack of opportunities elsewhere. So you might conclude that businesses are born out of necessity. Black business owners who apply for funding have a rejection rate 3 times higher than that of white business owners. And it's reported that 61% of Black women self-funded their startup capital. Nevertheless, Black women are positioned to play an increasingly visible and important role in our country's future. And one great example of this is our guest today, Ms. Tarolyn Buckles, who is the president and CEO of Onyx Enterprise. Welcome, Tarolyn.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lori. I'm so happy to be on your podcast. It's my pleasure.
I'm glad to have you. So tell everyone who hopefully will watch our recording, tell us about Onyx Enterprise, who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. So Onyx Enterprise, we're a civil engineering and construction firm headquartered in Detroit. I am a 100% woman-owned firm. I've been in business for 17 years.
Wow.
For Onyx. I've been in the industry for 35 years. And I count the years where I was an intern with MDOT. So I've been working in the industry pretty much all my life.
Okay.
And yes, and so Onyx, we are civil engineering and construction. So we do both. From the engineering perspective, I am a civil engineer by degree, structural engineer, graduated from the University of Michigan.
I won't hold that against you.
Yes, go blue.
Go green.
Yes. And so I always wanted to start my own business. I had great mentors along the way. And one particular mentor had started her civil engineering firm that I met while I was working at MDOT, actually. And I said, wow, if she could start her own civil engineering firm, I can definitely be on that path of starting my firm someday. And always had the entrepreneur spirit. Even as a youngster, I always looked to try new things. And even at 10 years old, from selling Girl Scout cookies or to lemonade stands, all of the above. It was always, what can I do for my community?
Wow.
And I can add some extra bucks in my pocket because we have a large family, and always always looking to see, where we can, bring in more revenue, particularly in my space for engineering. I had a passion for engineering while I was in DAPSAP, which is Detroit area pre-college engineering program. And at that time, and I won't date it, but I'll date it, it was in the 70s.
Okay, that's fine.
And I started it in the program at 10 years old and went to U of D Mercy, was very involved in the different math programs. I went to Detroit Public Schools, and I knew that if I wanted to be a success, I'm going to have to participate in extracurricular activities around the areas of math and science.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I did. My mom at that, she knew that I love math and science and I love competition. And that was one of the things that I loved to do. And I was very involved in Girl Scouts. My mom
Okay.
was a Girl Scout leader.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. And so uh,
Lots
being in
of
Girl,
leadership opportunities in Girl Scouts.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
always. It was always some very good programs and did a lot of travel, even by myself, in some art programs. I loved art growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Loved to draw,
Mm-hmm.
love all aspects of art. And that was because I had some really good teachers too. And so I knew at one time I was going to be an architect, always wanted to be an architect growing up
Okay.
until I was in high school. I then MDOT, Michigan Department of Transportation, came to my
Mm-hmm.
high school and they said, I know you love engineering. You say you want to be an architecture engineer, but you know that you can do civil engineering also and maybe do structural and work with the architects. And I said, you know what? I think I want to try that. And it's just a blessing. MDOT is to this day one of my top clients.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like full circle.
It is full circle. That's an amazing journey.
Yes.
I'm familiar with DAPSAP, grew up in Ohio, but when I got to Michigan State, tutored DAPSAP kids during the summer sometimes. And
Yes.
then when I started my career, I taught DAPSAP in the public schools. So I was very familiar, knew Dr. Ken Hill, who was the founder
Yes.
of it. And so
Yes.
wonderful program and a
Yes.
wonderful pipeline to grow people, the future Tarolyns of the world.
Well, thank you. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And to this day, I receive awards and just going back and talking with the students, just to let them know that yes, you can do this. Math and science, you can do this. You can be an engineer and change the world.
That's right.
Yes.
So, what were some of your, if you had any, you sound like you had great people pushing you forward and propelling you into the path that you're on, but did you have any barriers to entry as an entrepreneur,
Yes.
and not working for someone, but working for yourself as a woman, or did you
Yes.
encounter any?
Yes, there was barriers along the way. As a engineer, even in at the university, just being the only, female, not to
Mm-hmm.
just say black female, but only female in my structural
Right.
engineering classes, and being, I think, two, female engineer graduates from the structural department, I always knew that this is a space where I had to be my best, no matter what, and that I had to work hard for
Mm-hmm.
it. And for to start my engineering firm, I knew that I had to take that path of, knowing, learning, continuous education. So I
Right.
poured myself into various aspects of my career. Because when I graduated, I went on to work with waste management.
Okay.
And so I was in charge of two landfills, a hauling company. I was a auditor for safety manager. I just poured
You
myself
wore a
into,
lot of hats.
I wore a lot of
Sat in
hats.
a lot of seats to learn the ropes.
I
Yeah.
had to learn the ropes of different aspects of engineering. And I knew if I was going to start my engineering firm, that I had probably definitely had to take the route of being on the private side. So that's why I moved back to Detroit, went on with a small consulting engineering firm, Finkbeiner Pedersen Strout, which was later acquired by Arcadis,
Oh.
and just definitely, went up the ranks and started off as a task engineer, project manager, later, promoted to national diversity manager, the first international, because it's an international firm, the first
Mm-hmm.
diversity manager ever within the company. So
Wow.
I,
Amazing.
that was back in 2008,
Okay.
when diversity at that time,
Mm-hmm.
you know, diversity today is very similar to it was then,
Yeah.
but there was a lot of hurdles that we had to even cross at that time. And so putting programs in place like the affinity programs, women's
Mm-hmm.
affinity programs and
Mm-hmm.
recruiting at historically Black universities and recruiting across the country for, all the different institutions. And I found at that time, while I was working with Arcadis, in the back of my mind, I said, I still want to start my engineering firm. And coincidentally, I did start the firm in 2007, even while I was working, because I
Okay.
planted the seed and I knew it would happen eventually. And that's what I'd done. I knew there would be barriers along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I made sure I got my certifications, all the certifications in starting out. I would say in 2011, that's when I really put in for all of them, like City of Detroit,
Mm-hmm.
even the Great Lakes, we bank at that time. I submitted for that one along with MSSDC.
Okay.
I prepared myself. There was one hurdle that I had, and I could not believe it at the time. I was like, wow, I have almost perfect credit score. Uh, and I
Hmm.
did not get a
Okay.
loan for my
Mm-hmm.
company. And this was
Mm-hmm.
back in 2007, 2008, right around the time with the recession.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just a small loan, just to cover expenses like for getting your website done and business cards and logos, all those things that you need to start your company.
Right.
I could not get a significant line of credit other than a credit card for the company that they gave at that time. And at that time, it was probably like maybe $10,000 or something crazy. I could not believe it. So what I done, and this is I heard that often, especially particularly with women,
Mm-hmm.
when you start your business. I was like, I know what to do. And I got involved with every program I could from emerging leaders with the state of Michigan
Right.
and also Goldman Sachs.
Mm-hmm.
Goldman Sachs prepared me. There were so many programs that helped me through the business plan process and creating a growth plan. So when I completed Goldman Sachs, I had a growth plan in hand. And I would say that next week, I got a line of credit with no problem.
Isn't that
And
something?
a significant amount of line of credit. I think it was over 100, maybe 150,000 line of
Wow.
credit. And that was just to present a business plan, a growth plan, where the banks can see it and
Yeah.
understand. And it was no problem after that. And that's
And see
preparation.
that you understood your business and the maybe the hurdles that may come against you. They wanted to make sure that you understood, had the financial literacy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they wanted
Very
to
important.
know, and a lot of times you will have to present, what is your path for growth? And at that time, the path was growth of I had maybe less than maybe four employees,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and at that time it was 2 to 4 employees, and but the company was growing. And just to say that right after I completed that course, I was able to get a lot of credit to that amount.
Mm-hmm.
It just shows that you have to be prepared. You have
Right.
to have a really solid business plan and growth plan. And it's going to be difficult at times, as far as, obtaining line of credits and loans. We
Mm-hmm.
know that. Uh, Coming from women, because it could have been any male engineering firm, white male firm that could have went
Mm-hmm.
into the bank and would probably had no problem getting a 50,000 line
Mm-hmm.
of credit.
Yep.
And I had to show that need too, because I had engineering software to purchase $50,000 of software for hydraulic modeling.
Mm-hmm.
So to show that need, plus the projects and the contracts, it was no problem getting the line of credit after that.
Awesome. So what are some of the strategies? Because you've been very successful. But what are some of the strategies you've implemented to acquire contracts and business and just get more exposure?
The biggest is networking. I found by being active and a leader in different organizations has caused my company to partner and
Mm-hmm.
to grow. I
Wow.
know for sure, and during that time, I was involved in so many different organizations, and it was more or less an organic approach to it because these are my peers, engineering peers. So very much involved in both, not only the Black organizations, but other major established organizations, like ACEC, American Council of Engineering Companies,
Mm-hmm.
and also, of course, NASB, National Society of Black Engineers.
Right.
The organization I founded, the National Association of Minority Consulting Engineers, and National Association of Black Women in Construction, you name it, I'm involved in it.
Yep.
And it was partnering through these major organizations that I was able to partner on some really significant projects like the Q line, M1 rail,
Okay. Okay.
or
I was going to
yes,
ask you, what are some of the things around the city that you had your hand in?
yes, I would say the Q line was opening to some major projects.
All right.
Another was with Detroit Water and Sewer Department. I had a contract as a technical advisor to the Board of Water Commissioners.
Mm-hmm.
So I was their engineer who reviewed all the items before it comes to the board. So I know the system well after of having worked with the department as a consultant on with different companies like Arcadis, Metco. I knew the
Mm-hmm.
system. I knew the system. I knew the water treatment plants, the 5 water treatment plants, the 20 pump stations, the wastewater treatment plant.
Mm-hmm.
So to get that position, it showed I had the knowledge, the credibility, and it really opened doors for me, that
Yeah.
contract. And
Networking.
yes, the networking. And that first year when I went out full time, I had after one contract with a small minority engineering Black owned firm, it was like one after the other contracts started lining up. And it
Mm-hmm.
was just going out on faith, because that's what it took. I was like, I'm out on my own. And if I'm going to do this, I always wanted to make sure that I had the salary coming in.
Right.
And once that one contract came, more started coming.
What
And then,
started to come in.
yes, the water
Incredible.
department, Q line. And to this day, I've had over, I would say, 10 MDOT projects,
Wow.
every freeway you can think of, from the I-94 modernization. I had 5 contracts. I've had projects with the I-75, I-69, even the 8 Mile project we're working on right now. We worked on maybe, I would say, 8 Detroit Public Works DPW
Mm.
contracts, like the
Mm-hmm.
speed humps
Wow.
project. That's my project. Joe Louis Greenway. All the sidewalks projects, we're doing construction inspection, construction engineering services, and Rosa Parks streetscapes, Livernois streetscapes, the major McNichols streetscapes. These are significant
Onyx
projects.
Enterprise is everything.
Yes, it's a
It's
blessing. And
amazing. It
we're,
is.
we're working now with Detroit Public Schools. We're working on the new schools and renovations. So I'm on the owners as an owner's rep with the Plant Moran
Okay.
team.
Okay.
And we have over 5 schools on one and another 5. So we've just been assigned another task. So really excited about that. And then with the Detroit Water and Sewer Department, I have a $4.5 million
Mm.
as needed construction engineering. Onyx is the prime on that one. And we have 5 major subs under Onyx. So roughly 70 construction inspectors that are on call to help with, and we have 14 tasks assigned in a couple of years. And so people wonder, how do I do it? And it's just it's a
Right.
blessing. I have a really good team of engineers, and inspectors and technicians, and it's
Mhm.
keep it lean. I mean, on average, I have 10 to maybe 14 staff, and
Mhm.
some are seasonal and some are the engineers that work throughout the year.
Okay.
And we are working on some good projects, even the Henry Ford Grand destination. We're working on that. We're working on the Dingle Tunnel at the airport. We just finished the taxiway Y at the airport. And God is good. I've been blessed with some really good projects.
Yes, you have. And that's exciting. You came into Great Lakes and completed the Mentor We program here. Specifically, you completed the Stellantis Mentor
Yes.
We program that was curated for targeted industries with Great Lakes and Stellantis. Talk about that experience. What did you enjoy about the
Oh,
program, and talk about your mentors?
it was amazing to be in a program where, you know, the ladies, we had similar interests, and that was it's just to grow our companies and to grow in different market areas. And so I can say the biggest experience is we learn business to business
Mm,
type of growth, but also our mentors is very, very helpful in really understanding different market areas.
okay.
Automotive space is something new for not only Onyx, but I have four other, it's a total of five companies I have, but there's two that is definitely going after automotive space, like electric vehicle charging stations
Mm-hmm.
and solar technology. And so being in this program and having Stellantis as a mentor, talking with the different executives and understanding through our pitch how to really strategize and really market ourselves in this space.
Mm-hmm.
That was the most important thing for our company. And then to understand the capability statement, which has to change. If you have a
Yes, absolutely.
capability statement and you've had it for years, should change with that market area. So that was a good module of training that we've had. And of course, be having the exposure directly with the Stellantis
Mhm.
executives. That is something that's a plus, which I believe is just not just for the one session or, the 8 or 9 months we're in. I
Right.
feel that this is ongoing relationships.
Absolutely.
Yes,
It is ongoing. They encourage that. They want to hear from you. And so, um, that's kind of the beauty of the program. You're not just one and done. It is ongoing and you have access to them.
yes.
So, let me ask you, because we're coming up on the end of our time, but what is the best piece of advice a mentor has given you, something that you actually still reflect on today?
The best advice I distinctly remember, and this is something that I've used before, but when I heard it again, I was like, wow, that's so true. When you go to different conferences to have a plan, and to every conference you have a plan, not just for networking, but a strategic plan in place.
Yep.
And that is so key. And I think back to all the introductions that I've had and how it was transformative. And I think back at a conference I had where I met some key individuals that are in my life at this time, and it's very instrumental in my two new companies, Green Energy Innovations and Empower Charge Alliance.
Mhm.
And it's just amazing through those partnerships. And it was very strategic what I done at each conference. And I think that's important. And we had our conference plan, remember, where we had our different events
Mhm.
with the mentor we,
Yeah.
and we prepared individually a plan of action
There you
before
go.
we went to the event. And I still do that to this day.
Awesome.
Every meeting, every event, who are the players, who are the target audience, and
Right.
making
Who are the
that plan
decision
and the
makers?
after plan too. Yes.
Right. Right. So what advice would you give to someone either embarking on just the entrepreneurial journey or specifically in your field?
I would say to learn to pivot.
Mm,
It's important to understand, of course, your business and the area of focus that you're in, whether it be civil engineering, whether it be construction, or in this new space and new technology of EV charging stations and solar, which I pivot in that area. And then also with the architecture and engineering firm, AE Collaborative, that do not feel that you have to be pigeonholed in a space,
yeah.
particularly when the market is changing.
Mm-hmm.
Infrastructure, we know there's major infrastructures needed in Michigan, but do not feel that you have to stay in Michigan to for your business and or wherever state that you're in. Just be open to that. And
Yeah.
so Onyx has always had three other offices. and now we're going to open some more offices. And I think the biggest thing I've learned, and I will give that advice to others, is to partner with other major firms.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to have other lines of businesses. They say, well, why don't you just put it all under one business? And for profit centers reasons, I have separated those
Okay.
because we have different owners. And Onyx is 100% my business, but the others have different partners. I think that's important. And then to partner with the right individuals that have your best interests in mind, the major firms. And that has been very, very helpful for us. And continuous education, making sure that your employees are trained continuously and
Mm-hmm.
cross-trained because an
Mm-hmm.
engineer can be trained in construction or material testing. Onyx is the only Black female tier one material testing company in the state of Michigan. And all of our engineers and technicians are cross-trained, so they know concrete aggregate testing. And so they're not afraid to do other things because we train in those areas. So I would say that keep an open mind and know to pivot. It's okay to do that.
It's okay to do that.
Yes,
Well, I want to thank you, Tarolyn, for taking the time to just talk with me about your journey and
welcome.
mentorship and your path and wishing you continued success.
Thank you so much.
All
I
right.
really appreciate this, and I would love to come back on your podcast. Just let me
Anytime.
know. I love talking with you. Thank you for the work that you're doing
Thank,
with the Great Lakes Women's Business Council.
thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
And happy Black Her Story Month.
Amen. Thank you.
All